I grew up in La Quinta Cove, and I've lived in the desert my whole life. I've lived in a couple other places, but just really shortly. But it's always, been like, my place that I call home. I started when I was 4. My mom got me a piano, and they really wanted me to learn some kind of instrument. So growing up, I played it. Kind of, I took lessons obviously first, and then when I became a teenager, I stopped taking lessons before, obviously. And then when I became a teenager, I got back into music. I just wanted to, learn more about it. And then now I play it, kind of as a young man again in bands. Yeah, I think you grow up and you develop different tastes for new things, So when you're a kid, you're playing classical and you don't really want to learn on that, as an adult. It's kind of like dorky, So then you get into certain bands, and then you kind of that's how I started. Again, it's just like learning songs that I liked, and then I got into different kinds of genres, and that's what made me keep with it, I think. As I was when I was a kid, I learned how to by reading. So that was kind of my first introduction with it. And as I got older, I just kind of started to play by things that I got into, music that I liked, that I felt, and that is the style, that psychedelic style that I enjoy playing, so much. I like it more than a straightforward, just playing in a very rigid, straight type band. When I was a kid, you obviously didn't have a choice when your parents, tell you what they would like you to do, and they get you into sports or they get you into music or acting or whatever it is that they, believe in. And my mom always wanted, piano. I read on these adoption papers when I was a kid that she'd wanted to learn how to play the piano. So I think that's kind of a personal touch, for her. And it influenced me, to learn that at an older age. That's kind of a beautiful thing. But I like playing layers, I like sounds, and WAXY, I use a couple pedals, a fuzz, and a delay, and just kind of trip moments out, and add an extra warmth to certain songs, and it sounds pretty close to a guitar most of the time, I've heard that a lot of times. But I just think it's kind of a distinctive instrument, and it doesn't necessarily work the best in every band, but I think in the style of psychedelic music we play, keyboard's kind of always been integral, organ, Hammond, Farfisa, compact organs, Moogs, synths, anything that there's been years and years of keyboards in the kind of music that we play, and it just kind of makes sense in how it fits with our style. I guess mostly I got involved in the music scene out here as a lover of it, and I would book shows and do certain things at certain venues, just for the sake of having a good night of music, and then I finally kind of combined that, I guess, with playing as an artist, and met some friends, and we put, our band together. I played in a band called War Drum, and that was my first real, I guess, experience with a band, a real type band. And then I played in several other projects, and I helped out with studio stuff every once in a while. But it really began with more of a love for music in the scene, and the history of the desert, and the music out here. It's not something that I experienced firsthand, but it's something I've always been attracted to. I think that trends are kind of exempt out here in the desert as far as what people would say a hipster music scene likes. So people here get really grounded with what like you just said, the 90s forefathers of the desert rock scene have made out here, and a lot of our music in the desert is influenced by that, absolutely. Personally, I like a psychedelic style. I like certain jammy, types of music. I like that kind of free flow, style of music playing. I'm not so into the heavy stuff, but not that that's bad music or anything. It's really good what we've done out here over the years, and I'm not a part of that generation, but I understand it and appreciate it. I think that Coachella Fest is something where a promoter had, a baby idea that for a long time, from what I understand, struggled, and didn't really have a specific styling as far as what kind of bands were coming. Now it's, like I said earlier about the trends, I was saying that there's a trendiness in other parts of the world or California, whatever big city you live in, where people get hooked on a certain thing, and the desert has kind of been removed from that. And that's, I think, why people think it's such an exotic place to A, play, and B, draw inspiration from. Coachella Fest is a perfect staging ground here because there's not anything like it for for miles, really. And it's that one time of the year where everybody, whether they like the newest hit band or some old throwback band from the 80s or 90s or whatever, they can see that. I think it's a good opportunity for a lot of musicians. I play in a band called WAXY, and I met Robbie Waldman, who was the singer in WAXY, and he plays in our band War Drum also. So we play in each other's bands. WAXY is a heavy, just really steady, like strong rock and roll band, and this band War Drum that I play in is just kind of like trippy, more like blues, more bluesy type stuff, and it's nice to have a contrast. And kind of feel like a different dynamic, even though that there were members that we play with each other. It's just it's a different type of feel when you're on stage, and I like keeping my musical genres, as a variety. I mean, I like all kinds of music. It's not just I won't just listen to one type. I appreciate a lot of stuff, and the band really WAXY kind of is a neat band to play in. But that's the thing about when you play in a band, is that you're really, creating a piece with other people and with what they want in mind, So certain bands have their front man who just kind of, commands what's going on artistically, but it's nice to have, a friendship, because I think all the bands I play in, we all have a camaraderie, but also a respect for each other's craft and artmanship, because it is very much like a relationship playing in a band, and you always have to kind of satisfy everybody's artistic levels, I think. I think when you're in a band and you're playing, some people play for fun and some people play for a career, and other people just want to play. They just want to be on a stage, I think that for me personally, I'm at a point in my life where I really just want to play music, and I wouldn't necessarily take any job playing in a band, but I do love what music I play. And it's very easy, all of us that play in the band in WAXY, and any other band I've been a part of, we've all been close, as musicians and friends, and that's a really important thing, because it's pretty difficult to get on the road and do a tour, tours like we're going to do, where there's some kind of resentment or anxiety. That's just a really tough thing. People shouldn't be creating music together if those kind of relationships are negative. I mean, both bands that I play in, I really love a lot, and I love playing in both of them. I think that there's like a balance that everybody needs in their life for music, but obviously when you go on the road, you have to go on the road and you have to do your best and play your best, and that's kind of what I'm focusing on at the moment. With War Drum, we're focusing on a new record, sometime in the next few months, which we're really looking forward to having, and WAXY is getting ready for the new record too, which is a really nice. Every time you have a new record, it's like a new birth or something. It's a really beautiful feeling. It's like buying a new car or something. You just have something that's fresh, and you're not thinking about it critically too much because it's new. And it's exciting. So I'm pretty excited about kind of those new horizons. When I write songs by myself, I always find that they're either darker or kind of just a really consistent, like low-key type thing. I don't really. I feel like I can't write a pop song, So when I team up with other musicians, I feel like I kind of open a variety of like styles and stylings that I can, explore with other people that I wouldn't normally play myself. So that being said, when I play in WAXY, it's kind of like that heavier style that, I'm not used to doing on my own. I'm not a guitarist or a drummer or anything. So as a keyboard player, you really have to keep in mind that you're mostly collaborating with somebody else. It's not just just like a one-man band type of thing. You really kind of need your other counterparts. So I like writing songs by myself, but I much rather enjoy playing in like a full band, and kind of exploring like what we can create.
So no Billy Joel?
I don't do the Billy Joel. I don't do the Elton John. Like, I don't think I could. I think that touring is like most realistically like going to war for a musician. I mean, you leave your girlfriend, you leave your friends, you leave anything you had at home and just kind of abandon it, and then become strictly a player. And it's your job while you're on the road. So we went on a tour, WAXY and War Drum went on a tour a couple of years back, and it was definitely an eye opener. You're just in close quarters, and you don't know how the shows are necessarily going to go. There's a real risk with it. I mean, anything could really happen out there. We're not shooting guns, at people or anything, but it's definitely a real like dive, especially when you're going across the sea. When you're going across a country, because that's in many countries. you know, because that's not home, that's not the desert. This desert is so grounded and so, you know, centralized. When you go out and, I mean, that's what we're supposed to do, you know, spread the music. So I love being on the road. I think it's a really like empowering feeling. You know, you really feel like you're getting something done. I feel best when I'm on a stage. You know, I think that that's the most, it's like the most liberating thing that I feel like I can do in my life. And everything that I do, my other business is music also. I book shows at a venue out here in the desert called the Hood Bar and Pizza, which is kind of like our hub down in the lower desert for a rock and roll venue. We went on tour in Europe 2 years ago, and we did a WAXY war drum combo, which was a lot of fun and, you know, kind of a hassle because, you know, we're all playing interchangeably in each other's bands, but it all worked out really well. And we went across Europe and we just did it kind of, you know, very unsupported, which made it kind of, you know, a fun risk. It was a nice feeling the whole time. You know, there wasn't it wasn't the most organized thing ever, but it came out really, really well. And every show we played, we had a really good response. I mean, there were some nights that were just like incredibly magical nights, but other nights, you know, they're just show nights. I mean, not every show is going to be a killer show, but Europe was a really, you know, I loved being in Spain. That's where my mom's from. I loved seeing Germany. You know, Germany's a really nice big country. It was really nice kind of traveling across all of Europe and playing. And I think that my love for music has, you know, kept me involved in, you know, all the bands I play in and the line of work I do, you know, because you really do have to self-sacrifice and love this as a craft. I mean, you're not making a ton of money. You're on the road with, you know, you're dirty. You're kind of compressed into this like little capsule, and you have to travel with the people that, you know, you guys all rely on each other, you know. So there's a real kind of kinship in music, I think, and it's a really, you know, you can build a lot of relationships, and it's a really nice thing to play. I love playing music for a lot of reasons, but I would definitely say that it's mostly because it's so broad and there's so many, you know, aspects you can draw from with it. I've heard nothing but good things about Australia, and I'm really excited for the shows because of the fact that we get to, you know, play with John Garcia, who's a huge heavyweight out here in the desert, you know, and a lot of musicians would be, you know, pretty excited about this kind of opportunity. So the rooms are going to be big. There's going to be a lot of people. You know, there's going to be. I can already kind of feel how the night's going to go. As a musician, you have like a really. It's almost like it being insightful. You know, like it's an intuition thing. You know that this is going to be a good night. You know, pretty early on, and we can kind of feel a really good pulse in going to Australia. You know, other than that, I've heard it's a beautiful place. I've heard, you know, the people are great, and there's a lot of good music coming out of Australia too, which is really interesting. One of my favorite bands, Tame Impala. You know, there's stuff I've been listening to, like the Black Angels, Sleepy Sun, a lot of psych bands, you know, kind of tour, and they'll definitely go to Australia. I mean, it's a good place to play. We definitely have a lot coming up in WAXY, you know, with all these, with the two tours and with the new record, and I've been playing on that, you know, with the keys and everything. I'm really excited about it. I think that the opportunity to get to travel and kind of showcase what your home is, you know, and what brand that you know so well because it's where you grew up and what you love. That's a real opportunity, I think, for a musician, you know, and it's really nice to kind of go out there and like wave our flag, you know, in different countries. I mean, the Europe thing is a really heavy tour. You know, there's a lot of dates and there's a lot of traveling and experiences to be had. So I'm kind of really grateful and lucky to be a part of it. We take for granted, I think, this desert a lot living out here. I think that in the desert, we're like, I mean, this is a very well taken care of place. It's very groomed, you know, everything is kind of like nice looking. You know, when you go to other places, I mean, even in California, like LA or like, you know, certain parts of the world, it's just, they're really not taken care of. So people in Europe, you know, the desert is exotic to them. I mean, there's no desert in Europe, so that's kind of an interest already, you know, not to mention like, people come here and they try to get inspiration from, you know, whether it's the energy of places like Joshua Tree or like historical landmarks down here, you know, like the vintage vibe of Palm Springs. I mean, there's a lot out here that I think that Europeans and people across the world can kind of draw inspiration from. So when we come there to showcase our craft, it's something that they're interested in. It's something that you would not see, you know, on a regular basis. And I don't think a lot of desert bands, you know, make an opportunity to get out there, you know, which is really something that I think we believe in, you know, strongly living here and, you know, growing up here.
That's great. Good. That's good. Yeah. That's good.
Cool. Right on. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, thank you. That was a lot of fun.
All right.
Yeah.